Hey YouTube, Brandon Ascari here with another awesome and insightful episode of Ascari Digital's Content Creator Academy, where, as you know, it is my goal to educate and inspire you to being the best and most successful freelancer that you could be. First, let's take a look at the intro and then let's get started. And we're back. But first, if you haven't already, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you and a loved one could be the first one to see these videos when they air Mondays and Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Give us a big thumbs up if you haven't already. Drop a comment down below and share the video to all your friends around the world. Now let's start talking about tips and tricks on how to be a successful freelance content creator. So if you don't already know, that is what I do for a living. I work independently in corporate, commercial, and narrative video. Once in a while I do documentary. But some tips and tricks to helping you make the most out of it and find everlasting content is my goal with this episode. So first, let's talk about behavior. I think one of the most important things that you can do when you're on set is be the most helpful person in the world. Here's a recent example. I was working on a short film about a month and a half or so ago, and what I made sure I did was, even though I was hired just to be the sound op, I made sure that I always arrive 45 minutes early, no matter what, because I travel from out of state, so I don't want to miss any chance of being late on set. So I'm always there super early, and I got there early enough to where I saw that some of the production assistants and the set design department were working already. So I went over there, I lended a hand, I helped them move stuff around to set up the decorations, I helped them carry and unload off the truck. I did everything that I could to try and help everybody out, because my goal when I'm working on somebody's set is to make everything run as smoothly as possible. So if I can help anybody be more efficient, because for me it takes me 10-15 minutes to set up sound. I'm putting the shotgun mic on the boom pole, I'm getting the lavs set up and prepped, I have my triangles ready to go. 10 minutes, I'm ready. I'm just waiting for talent to come over, lav them up and go over, hold the boom, check for frame, ready to go. So no big deal for me. So I want to go out of my way to help everybody as much as I can. And much to my surprise and luck, thank God, one of the producers was there and they noticed that that's what I was doing, and they've told me verbatim, no questions asked, that I am their forever sound person from this day forward. So that is something that you can do to help guarantee that you will have work. Now, one of the things that allows me to help every department is the next step, and that is knowing as much as you can about production. So if you want to be a cinematographer, learn about sound, learn about lighting, learn about directing, learn about set design, learn as much as you can about everything that has to do with this industry. Learn about photography, learn about behind the scenes video, learn about documentary, learn about narrative, corporate, commercial, live event, whatever. Learn as much as you can, because that is going to make you an invaluable asset. If you could show up as a sound op and you can help the lighting people set up their light and point it in the right direction, or you can help the cinematographer throw the camera on sticks, doesn't mean you should or you're going to, but the fact that you have that knowledge, if you're working on a micro budget indie short, you will be invaluable, because they need people who could help in any way, shape, or form. If you're working on a Hollywood film, no, you'll get fired if you help anybody in any other department. Don't do that. But where you're going to be starting, most likely, is going to be in the micro-budget indie world. You may have 2 or 3 people on the crew at most, might even be just you. So knowing how to be able to set up microphones, record clean audio, set up the lighting to get a nice pleasing image or a little contrast or something, in setting up the camera, knowing the settings, even knowing a little bit of directing, is going to be one of the most invaluable things that you could possibly have in your skill set to making you the most marketable and appreciated person possible. Highlight appreciated, because that is so important. When people appreciate you for what you bring to set, you will always find work. Now, another thing, and I will disagree with a lot of other content creators that are teaching this information out there, and I hear this all the time, is never be flexible on your rate. I disagree. Always be flexible on your rate. I can have a set rate, $500 a day, $1,000 a day, $3,000 a day, whatever it is. But you never know what the weather's going to be like. You never know when you're going to work again. So if I'm having a drought of sorts when it comes to freelance work, and let's say my day rate, for instance, is $500 a day, I haven't worked for 3 weeks or a month, and somebody says, hey, Brandon, you know, I can only afford $400 a day, something like that. I'll say to myself, well, what do I have to do? Can I add this to my reel? Am I going to get anything out of this? Or do I just need money in general, which happens to be pretty often. You know, money's not the worst thing in the world. It doesn't make the world go round, but it makes it turn a quarter of an inch or so. So I might be flexible and say, all right, you know what? How about we try 450? Is that okay? No, I really have to stick to 4. All right, fine. You know what? I don't mind. Then you're the hero doing them a favor. You're going there, you're bringing $500 of value, but they got it for $400. Cool. Just don't tell anybody. So one of the most important things is taking a look. If you're booked every day for the next month, or you're booked, 75% of the time for the next month, and somebody asks you for one of your off days and they offer you $250 when your rate's $500, by no means do you have to take it. You should turn it down. But if it's like the winter time and I don't see any work for the next month and I haven't worked for a couple weeks, and somebody comes in and says, hey, I can pay you, I'm not saying don't take it. I'm saying you catch me at the right time. Look, when I shoot my personal films, I usually try to film in off seasons because I know I can get people a little cheaper. So when I'm freelancing, I kind of use that same ideology where I will work with people if they catch me at a time where I'm not working often. So the art of negotiation is such an important factor to being a successful content creator, almost as much as the appreciation and the knowledge and skill set that you bring to the table. One of the most important things I can tell you, and I've noticed this with people who I work with that are similar talent levels and skill levels, is having a value to your work. Once you've been doing this for a while, you've built up a reel, you've done all those free jobs for years and years, there comes a point where you have to stop. You have to make people realize that if they hire you, there is a value. Because what happens is, psychologically, even if you take someone who's equally as talented as you, and they're willing to do it for free for whatever reason, they're your friend, they're whatever, then psychologically, that person believes that the person who's charging adds more value to the production than somebody who doesn't. So, if you get to the point after you have your reel, you've done all this work for a while, you need to establish that there's a value. Now, the value can be flexible, given on many factors, but there is a value no matter what, means no more freebies. Now, that's flexible in certain scenarios. If it's a barter exchange, or let's say you've never shot with an Arri Alexa or something like that, and somebody has access to it and says, hey, can you shoot this one day? We have an Arri Alexa. I would take that for experience, because to rent that for myself and put that on my resume, it would cost me $800 to $1,200 to rent that camera for one day. So now I see this as an $800 to $1,200 value, and if I'm not doing anything, I may consider that. So that's one area where you might be able to look at it and say, okay, the barter has value. When I say value, it doesn't necessarily mean a dollar amount, it could mean an experience amount. Value has many different meanings to it. So, same thing, if you have an actor that's as talented as a Hollywood actor, and they're willing to work on your project for free, if you would shoot or edit like a reel for them, by all means, that has value on either side. But if they just say, hey, can you do this for free? No, never. I'm not going to give you anything in exchange. I don't have anything of value to offer. Can't do it, because there is a value to my work. And you need to make sure that once you get to that level after you've built the reel and you've gotten clients, that you keep that value to your work. It is so important, because I know people that I work with personally who are just as good as me. But anytime they try to charge after they've offered free work to these people several times recently, when they're past that stage of needing to do that, now people just assume that they'll always be free, because I have all this equipment. I've spent $20,000 on equipment and I'm willing to bring it to your set for free. Now you have no value. Whereas somebody who has $20,000 of equipment and equal talent, all of a sudden I say, no, I can work for $500, $1,000, whatever. I bring my equipment, I do this work, it could be equal. But because I said no, there is a value to bringing me there. This is my livelihood. They preconceive that as being more valuable than the other one. Because remember, this is art. I used to be a power lifter, a competitive weightlifter, and there everything was finite. Whoever picks up more weight is the better, won. They're the better person in this, competition. In art, it's subjective. Somebody sees my work and somebody sees their work, and quality-wise, it's similar. But somebody could hate theirs, love mine, hate mine, love theirs. Doesn't matter. That's art. It's all about how it's interpreted. So anything that you could do psychologically to convince people that your work has a higher value is going to pay dividends in the future. When it comes to finding work, you can find it on all sorts of places. Production Hub is a huge one where I find a lot of my really good clients. That's a website with a paid platform where you will subscribe to this website and they will send you texts and emails when jobs come up. That one's much more expensive, so that's why usually the higher quality work is on there and there's less competition. But note, all of the competition is really like industry standard people. So if you're just starting out, you may want to look for, jobs that you see posted, Facebook, Craigslist. Staff Me Up is another paid platform that I'm on where there's a lot of work on there, but usually a little lower tier work. So you'll find stuff that's $200 or $300 a day, $150 a day. And that's good for when you're starting out. You want to build clients with people like that because it is paid work. And while it is a little less expensive, smaller production value, getting in good with them in the beginning, as they grow, they'll remember how good of a job you did, and then they'll take you along that ride. As their rates increase, your rates will increase. So that's something to keep in mind, because one of the most important things is finding people who will work with you long term. Now, when I made my first narrative short film, I told this story in the How to Be a Successful Freelancer video, my first ever video on YouTube. I talked about how I made a short film, hired 2 working actors at the time, and they referred me to other people when they worked on other sets. Some paid, some not paid. I went there, did the best I could for them, and then those people continued to hire me, and they recommended me to other people. And that's the type of web that you need. This is very true. But also, on the freelance production side of things, you need to make sure that you're on some of those sites so that way you can apply for these other paid opportunities, maybe in the corporate commercial side of things, because those are really the jobs in the beginning that will pay the bills. Short independent narrative films, maybe you'll get $100 or $200 a day in the micro budget world. So it's not going to be really, giving you a lavish lifestyle. But when you get to the corporate and commercial side, when you do an amazing job for some of those freelance production companies, you might get $400, $500, $600, $700 a day, and you'll be working with a company that gets work frequently for hospitals, live events, talks, panels, stuff like that, and you'll be able to work with them on a recurring basis, not just once every time they make a short film, which could be every 6 months, every year, 2 years, you never know. But you could find corporate and commercial clients where you could work every month, every 2 months, every week, something like that, where they always are creating content because it's for their successful company. So that's where you'll really pay the bills in the beginning. And then as you're developing your narrative reel on the other side, you can start applying to more professional jobs like feature films, television, stuff like that, trying to work your way into the union, getting more work, so on and so forth. So those are a bunch of tips and tricks on how to be a successful freelance content creator or film production person. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can ensure that you are the first person to see the videos when they air Monday and Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Don't forget to give us a big thumbs up if you haven't already. Share the video to all your friends. And my name is Brandon Ascari of Ascari Digital's Content Creator Academy. I will see you next week with another great video. Peace.